Hey everyone. Um, as always, world is still ever changing. Tons of info coming out. A lot to keep up on. Um, it's pretty insane trying to keep up with what's the most up to date news. What's just noise. I found quite a few videos that I think are pretty relevant. Um, there's a lot going on. It's insane. And if you're not really watching, I get it. But we're in such a turbulent time right now that a lot of these things they could come back to haunt us if we don't make the right choices or we're not paying attention and things like that. And at the end of the day, I don't even know what we can do, what to do. I really don't. Um, this is the only thing I can think of doing, and if it's helping anyone, then cool. If it isn't, which it looks like it's helping some, um, I don't know. Maybe I'll go into a gaming channel. I don't know. Um, oh man, I see why this stuff takes entire teams though. It takes teams of people to do this right. So, uh, hopefully I'll be getting an upgrade on camera and sound and not using PlayStation headsets. So it's just I'm having such a hard time trying to think about what the next step is. There's so much going on and things I was hoping wasn't true seem like they could be, and things that I never would have guessed. And it's just, I don't know. Crazy times, man. Crazy times. So whatever's going on, we need to we need to do what's best for our kids and make sure that they have all the rights that we do, if not more. And I'm just things don't seem right. It's pretty insane. So I don't know what we can do other than pay attention and not turn on each other. I don't know. Um, so with that being said, uh, I think we can get right into it. So Freedom Tunes, they make some pretty funny cartoons, usually pretty quick on it. Uh, I they just released this recently, and I feel like a lot of people can vibe with it. You know what I mean? So
laughing this week, and I don't think you do either. He was. I don't feel like laughing this week, and I don't think you do either. He was a father, and that's the part that kills us the most. Because father seems like an increasingly rare title these days. Where are our fathers, our leaders? Who protects our families? Are we going to get justice or words? Will there be discipline or dereliction? His children were left to fend for themselves. Now we find out if our nation is. Will networks of radicals be allowed to keep killing us while they pass laws making it harder for us to defend ourselves? Will we be thrown in prison for protecting ourselves when a robber breaks in? A never-ending duty to retreat in our own home? Because it seems as if every father has been forced to retreat from everything. God the Father removed from our schools. Earthly fathers removed from their homes. Divorces, wars, murder in the streets. Will God stop being a father to this nation because we've rejected fatherhood itself? Will we continue the retreat? Or will we turn around? back into our homes, back into our children's lives, back into our positions as heads of households, unafraid to take power and exercise authority, political and familial, because our families need us. The political solutions are obvious and necessary. We can't accept anything less. But the personal solutions are equally uncompromising and far more difficult. If you want to change the world, go home and love your family. Speak the truth and never compromise on it. Be the kind of person whose death is celebrated by demons, by doing small things with great love. Because the turning point is here. 9/10 will be remembered as the day that our country reversed course. Or the day that America realized it didn't have a father.
Absolutely phenomenal video. I hope through all this I learned to practice speaking in a way that's as eloquent as that is. I read that line of having your death celebrated by demons. That's really good. Um, like I've been saying almost every time that I've come up on live, uh, it's not a mental health crisis as much as people want to say. It's not a medication crisis, even though I am fully intent on convinced of the fact that pharmaceutical companies are doing what they can to make more money. It's obvious. Things I see nowadays couldn't. There's no way you could dissuade me from that truth. It's a cultural issue, and I've realized this little cartoon here said everything that I pretty much believe in, and I guess it kind of answers what I was just talking about. I don't know what to do, but take care of your own family. It seems like the only thing we can do right now, you know. Um, it's just insane that there's so much going on, and I guess that should always be the number one priority is taking care of your own family. I have a lot of people that are very angry still, um, and a lot of people that still want to react, and the first reaction should be, what's a better way to take care of my family? And I don't think I was very I probably wasn't clear enough when I was saying that before. Um, this is the streaming stuff is a whole new deal. Um, Regardless of their political affiliations, regardless of whatever, loving your family and taking care of them, that should always come first. And again, it's a cultural issue because a lot of people don't believe that anymore. It's insane. And that's also kind of why I've been making the videos that I have, trying to prove to the extremes, the extremists, the ones that believe regardless of evidence or any kind of information, hey, you're on the wrong side because I don't want to lose you guys. It sucks, especially over stupid stuff. So I don't know. This next video is one that I really wanted to talk about the last stream. And it's talking about the violence, right? And we keep hearing this whole there's violence on both sides, violence on both sides. Technically, sure, yeah, okay. Uh, if 100 people over here do it, and then 2 to 3 people do it over here, technically, yes, both sides. But it's not equivalent. It's not the same. You can't. If you really think it's equal, then you seriously need to broaden your horizons and gather information from different sources. And honestly, I'm coming to the point where I'm just going to start telling people that their opinion doesn't matter because there's a lot of people that I have talked to who, regardless of the information that has been presented and them accepting that the information that they have received is either wrong or irrelevant, they still want to keep the same opinion, even though they know that the information that led them to that opinion is false. So it's insane to me. And those are the ones that mindset is what's causing everything that's happening right now. So this is a pretty good video from what I saw. I think I watched most of it, but I don't really remember right now. So yeah.
We got a Trump supporter here, bang, bang, dead. Not counted as political violence. Any of you want to trust your institutions? Let me
preface this with I have always been critical of information that is handled by biased sources, and most sources are biased. So that's kind of what he's getting into, and he's going to get into is numbers lie. And all it takes to change, like, statistics don't lie, but liars use statistics. Well, statistics can lie too, right? Because the people that make the statistics can be lying or intentionally deceiving or misleading, and then you have statistics that are bad, and then we go off of those. It goes from everything from unemployment numbers to economic numbers to even like population numbers. A big thing that people are trying to figure out is if like China's lying about their population numbers. And so he's going to get into everything I just said, but obviously more eloquent of a speaker. And I know I've said this before, but the Steven Crowder team, regardless of how you feel about him, the Steven Crowder team has done so much work and have uncovered so many different things. And as far as I know, they are the team that works the hardest to be irrefutable, right? I can't recall the time that they were wrong and they didn't pick up on it that they were wrong themselves and then issued a retraction. And that was like maybe 2 or 3 times since they've started. So he is a comedian. They do try to make things funny, but the information is usually pretty correct. Yeah.
prove to you that they know better. Because right now, making the rounds is this idea that political violence is more prevalent on the right. You heard Amy Klobuchar cite it, and you heard, well, I can't remember who else did it during the hearing yesterday, but you've seen this circulated everywhere. And this comes from a couple of sources. I'll have to kind of parse through one here. There's a Cato study that people are citing. There is one from The Economist, I believe. And there's one that was at NIJ that the left is saying was removed because it pointed out that right-wing violence was more prevalent, when the truth is it was removed because it was inaccurate. So I won't be addressing that one. The left right now knows better, but they are trying to lie. It's what we used to call, what we should still call, propaganda. There is more right-wing violence than the left, and they'll even show you a chart. Okay, I will prove to you right now that it's bullshit.
And like, the thing is about all this is you have your own 2 eyes and your own 2 ears, and you have your own experiences, and I personally have experienced this. Now, obviously, I'm just one person. I can only do so much. I can only see so much. But like going in Portland and almost getting killed because I got short hair and I'm a white guy, like just for walking and or asking a question, like I almost got jumped by a bunch of naked guys wearing unicorn tassels, and I mean like off their junk. The way that I want to go is not with my obituary saying that Robert Ferguson got killed by a bunch of naked scrawny guys wearing unicorn tassels and horns. They were naked except for the tassels and the horns, and I think some of them had hooves. And yeah, I can defend myself, sure. But there were like maybe they swarmed like I swear they were surrounded, so it would probably take about 10 to 16 people. I don't know, man. I might be able to take on a few naked unicorn guys, but like 16 all at once, and you can take that out of context all you want. God, man. Oh, I'm never going to forget that day.
Let me show you what's not on this list. What is not included whatsoever as leftist, ideologically motivated violence. All of the violence after the 2017 inauguration. 200 people arrested, far more crimes committed. In case you've forgotten. None of this included in your chart.
Burning cars and smashed windows. A small group of protesters dressed in black, their faces covered, armed with hammers and bricks.
For anyone that wants to dispute this too, what do you call all the riots that happened during COVID, after COVID, and everything in between? Like, is that not political violence? I don't understand. People were dying. It was on the news, even on the left-wing news, saying people died. But obviously, it's mostly peaceful protests. Like, I don't understand the logic that if you agree that the right does more violence, I don't understand your logic. It makes no sense. So if I'm missing something, let me know.
None of this is included in the stat being circulated. This is not left-wing violence. It is not. It doesn't exist.
Today, and more than 100 people arrested.
That is not political violence according to the stats that you are hearing parroted from the left right now. Why? Because all the charges were dropped. So they didn't include that. All the charges were dropped. Okay. What you just saw was not political violence from the left.
And don't forget, like, Kamala Harris raising fundraisers to bail people out, and the right getting far harsher sentences than the left, and yada, 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 as long as it was, like, politically motivated towards the Antifa or Black Lives Matter rallies, yada, 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 they were pretty much let go. I remember this. That's kind of why I'm doing these videos, because I can see people trying to change history. They're trying to change history right in front of our eyes. That's where what I think the whole what's that effect? The Mandela effect. The Mandela effect, I think, is just corporations trying to change history little by little to see how much they can get away with. That's it. Like, I call those times the 2020 election riots. Yeah. But the whole Mandela effect, the internet's going crazy with the Mandela effect, it's real. No, we're in two different universes. No, it's I am pretty sure it's just corporations or companies or whatever. They're subtly changing information to see what the public is willing to accept. And that's why I'm starting to do this, because I'm seeing so many things that people can't agree on what happened here, or they don't remember, because we have such a, it's not that we don't have like the attention span anymore, like, right? It's just that so much is thrown at us, and what used to take years of news cycles is now taking us literally days. There's so much going on. I don't expect people to remember what happened 2-3 years ago, because the things that happened last week feel like they happened last year. So and I'm seeing people forget things, and I'm seeing people change small information and small things that completely change the context. And it's insane. It's insane. Because if we change history and we change what happened, then the history books are going to change. And we're living through this, and we're allowing it to happen. And I don't know how to not allow it to happen other than do things like this. I don't know. I don't have that answer. I usually have answers, not today.
Let me give you another one. Do you remember this one? This is not included. And I wanted to laser in on this because I don't think it could be any clearer. As a matter of fact, I don't think you get any cases of more clear political violence, and it comes from the left. Remember the Trump supporter in Portland, Aaron Danielson? He was killed by a member of Antifa. The man's name was Michael Rhino. And before you run the clip, he was shot point blank dead in the street. Why do we know? Because we have video evidence and he admitted it. And he was shot dead point blank in the street. Why? Because he was a Trump supporter. How do we know? Because it was said on camera. For those who don't remember, this, what you are about to see, according to the charts, according to the methodology, is not political violence. It is not included.
I remember this coming out. I do. I remember this coming out. I remember things like this coming out. Oh my God, I'm doing my hands like Trump. This moment's huge. Like, I remember all of this happening. And I don't know if people forget or what, but I remember all of this. And I remember the outlets and social media going, okay, well, wrong place, wrong time. Like, bro.
We got a Trump supporter here, bang, bang, dead. Not counted as political violence. Any of you want to trust your institutions? I can explain to you why, too, and the method and why it's fraudulent. I don't want to, though. If anyone out there tells you actually more violence is coming from the right wing, you can say, yeah, but hold on a second. The guy who was shot point blank dead in public for being a Trump supporter exclusively was not counted as political violence. So I don't trust any of it. That's valid. That is the only argument you need to make.
Now, again, you can say, well, he could just be making that up. He has done enough work and puts all of his references out there and everything like that. So you can feel free to dissect that all you want. If you think he's lying about that, you can dissect it all you want. I trust it. And it makes sense. It lines up with everything that's been happening. It lines up with everything.
But there's more to it. Of course, the database only counts white on minority hate crimes as political. Black on minority is not counted, considering when you see how much political violence was committed from black Americans, for example, against Asians. If you look at many of these studies, they don't include, for example, you'll see that chart from The Economist, 2020. Left-wing violence, non-existent. Summer of Love, didn't exist. Didn't exist.
Unbelievable.
It would be like saying there's very little Islamic terrorism because here's a chart, by the way, we excluded 9/11. You still would have plenty, by the way. There's a reason for the unholy alliance of the left and Islamofascists. That's because they both largely want to eliminate the same group of people, Western white Christian men. The vanguards. Those at the post, protecting our civilization. They both want to take that group of people out. Also, any violence in a lot of these, depending which one you're using, any act of violence committed against government at all is considered right-wing because it must be anti-government. You have some of these that actually, I've looked through them, include Antifa violence as right-wing violence.
Jeez.
But none of that matters. None of that matters because the 200 arrests and the thousands of actions that you just saw after the inauguration of violence, they were not counted among left-wing violence because charges were dropped. Well, why do you think charges may have been dropped? And the man who was shot point blank dead, we have a Trump voter here, or supporter. We have a Trump supporter here, bang, bang, dead, not political violence. It's that simple. And those are the same people telling you, don't trust us. We're not authoritative. Don't trust the Nashville Manifesto. By the way, some of these places don't include the Nashville shooting as political violence. I believe Cato or Reuters said it's borderline. Well, let me explain something else to you. It's not borderline. And the only reason it can be argued that it's borderline is because when the police were caught with their pants down And a comedy show had to get you pages from the manifesto that clearly expressed an ideology after we were told that there was not. They said, well, we don't, okay, it's not. First they said we were lying. Then they said, well, yeah, but it hurts the families for this information to get out. But before that, they said, this is a random act of violence. It's not politically motivated. It's not to kill cisgender Christians. It's not to target people of a certain political, ideological, religious persuasion. Think about that. The same people who want you to believe us that we are liars. When we are 6-0 with investigative, 7-0 if you want to consider election night, when we called states and other people didn't. Can't do it without your support. Please do consider joining. $99 a year, you get this hand-etched mug. Not only do you get 100% more show, and you get it Friday, you get it all ad-free, you get all of these other shows, but none of this happens. The lights don't stay on unless you support it. Who's the liar? Let me ask you, who's the liar? The people who leaked the DOJ? Story about the engravings on the bullets? We were tarred and feathered as lying that there was no evidence of it. Now you see it. Who's the liar? The people who leaked the Nashville Manifesto? We were tarred and feathered as lying till they begrudgingly admitted it. And the FBI said they would investigate us, and the mayor said he would sue us. Who's the liar? Us? Those people? Or the people who told you, yeah, there's more violence on the right. The man shot point blank exclusively for being a Trump supporter in cold blood. That's not political violence. Who's lying to you? It's a comedy show.
We have to do the serious work. And then we get called out for it by the ATF. It's not nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Subpoenas are not what friends do to one another, okay?
That's not what friends do.
Oh, jeez.
He was never my friend. Now, you know who else is not my friend, but is a friend of the show? I don't know why.
Sorry.
Senator Mazie Hirono, who was grilling Kash Patel yesterday, and acknowledging for the first time that there are biological differences between men and women, grilling Kash Patel over the concept of pull-ups at the FBI.
You are now requiring applicants to be able to do a certain kind of pull-ups, which a lot of women cannot because of physiological differences. Are you requiring these kinds of pull-ups?
We are requiring a physical program at BFTC at Quantico because FBI agents carrying guns in the field have to chase down bad guys and do it really hard.
Online everywhere. And I need you to know that there are crosshairs already on it.
Okay. I think we can move to the next one. Let's see. No. Where is it? Yeah. So the rest of this is just kind of annoying. No sense in wasting your time, my time, whatever. Because he's going to talk about it in this next part, right? This came out, I think, the next day, so yesterday, and this is a pretty interesting dialogue. I only watched part of it. I don't know how much we're going to watch, but it's definitely interesting.
Piers, I think that's completely disingenuous, and I think
and Piers Morgan has been doing really good ever since he started this uncensored thing. He's been doing really good getting people on and just talking. I'm really happy with Piers Morgan lately.
anyone watching that,
what are you talking about?
And so, if you will let me, if you will allow me, please.
What
please
are you
stop
talking
interrupting me,
about?
okay, Did you invite me here to interrupt me, or are you going to let me?
I think you're
answer the
being a
question?
complete dick, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
I do.
Well, that's very kind and respectful of you.
It wasn't intended to be kind or
I don't like the
respectful.
hominem attacks.
The assassination of Charlie Kirk has sparked a bitter and reductive blame game between right and left, turbocharged by inflammatory calls for vengeance on the fringes of one side and callous celebrations on the other. Neither side wants to find common cause. Both hold the other side accountable for the febrile climate which led to Kirk's appalling murder. Viral clips appear to show people on either side doing anything other than taking the temperature down. Stephen Crowder's call for violence is one such example, for which he's now issued this clarification.
People may take some clips and tell you that Stephen Crowder is irresponsible. He advocated violence. That's right. I am. I want to be crystal clear about that. I am advocating for lawful violence defensively that has been abandoned for years and I want it to replace where grace was afforded before.
I mean, makes sense to me. Defend yourself. Should be kind of the natural law of things anyways.
We'll be joined by Joe Walsh to debate these issues, but first I'm joined by Stephen Crowder for what will hopefully be a clarification on his clarification. Stephen.
And to be honest, I had no idea who Joe Walsh was. I still don't really know who he is. He's a big part of this. I don't remember him doing anything. I don't remember anything. I know he's like a Republican congressman. Not like I'm much of a fan of any of the Republican Congress people. But I really didn't know who Joe Walsh was.
Well, welcome back to Uncensored. As you know, a lot of people believed you were advocating for a violent response. You've clarified that now. And people are saying, is that a sincere clarification or have you just calmed down?
It wasn't a clarification. It was a repeat. And I stand by it. I am advocating for lawful, maybe let me clarify, ruthless violence in defense of us and our own. And if you give me 1.5 minutes, I can make it extra crystal clear if we need to. What you're seeing with Charlie Kirk is what got through. Charlie Kirk lived under a cloud just as I have. It's the reason that I stopped doing Change My Minds, where there were 12 felonious assaults, attempts at battery, and attempts on my life. And I know quite a few, and many I don't, of Charlie Kirk. I want to be clear. I want those on the left to speak freely and to be able to host their events with minimal security as they do now for the rest of their lives. Just as surely, I want them to be deathly terrified of showing up and acting with the increasing violence as they have at our events. And that goes both ways. Hey, if there's a spat of right-wing violence that's spreading across this country, treat those people the same way that we treat yours. But you won't find it. And let me just address a couple of things here. What I think leads to violence, they'll try and blame it on Donald Trump. They'll give us a bunch of reasons. Let me be really clear here. Joe Walsh will say that this is an overreaction. He said that yesterday. He doesn't understand why this is a big deal. That's untrue. He will say that statistically more violence comes from the right. That's provably untrue. He has been stating for days that the shooter was in fact not a leftist and we didn't know. That's provably untrue. He will create a false equivalency between Charlie Kirk and the murder of the Hortmans in Minnesota. That's provably untrue. And finally, he will place blame, as the left and the spineless right does, for all of this on Donald Trump, conservatives, rising figures, and the rhetoric for temperatures in this country. That is provably untrue. Donald Trump ran on Law and Order and won because of leftist violence. All of this, let me finish with this. All of this is by design so that the left and spineless right can make this conversation about conservatives responding to the cold-blooded terroristic assassination and gleeful celebration thereafter of a young man who did nothing more than sit down at a table and allow anyone to speak their opinion. And I know what it's like because I was in that spot. I started it, and Charlie cited it as inspiration. If I could change one thing, and I do believe that I'm partially responsible for this, I've failed people. I've had to do a lot of soul searching. When I did Change My Mind and started in 2016, the idea was, hey, calling the left on their bluff, civil dialogue with anyone to the tune of billions of plays and hundreds of hours. And it got increasingly violent. And what I didn't tell people, I told people out there, go do this on your own campus, have these conversations. I advocated for it. And Charlie took it to another level. He was unbelievable at it. What I didn't do, I didn't tell people about the threats because I didn't want copycats. I didn't tell them about terrorists from Yemen through Sweden showing up in East Grand Rapids. I didn't tell them about concrete milkshakes. I didn't tell them about my tires getting slashed, about people trying to firebomb my car. And maybe if I would have picked up the phone, maybe if I would have used this megaphone to tell people it's real life out there and the left wants you dead, maybe Charlie would have had a fighting chance. Maybe I could have done more. Right now, I'll tell you this. I see a lot of people out there, Piers. See a lot of people out there talking about picking up that microphone. And I hope people do, because the alternative is silence. But I want people to know that wherever that microphone is, and whoever thinks about picking it up, you are in the crosshairs. People say bring down the temperature. Okay, how about we bring down the temperature to doing something like, I don't know, sitting down at a table and allowing anyone with a thought or opinion to discuss it rationally? Would that bring down the temperature? Because they took his life anyway.
Listen, I know you knew Charlie Kirk well. I feel your passion. I feel your anger. I feel your hurt. It's a painful time. I think everybody on the conservative right in America, it's a very painful time. And I feel that. But in the interest of fair play, which Charlie Kirk would want, we have got the former Republican congressman and the host of The Social Contract, Joe Walsh, joining the debate. Exactly what Charlie would encourage, I think, which is, Joe, you've just heard.
Steven Crowder becomes a total dick for the next 10 minutes. I think it is understandable, but you'll see.
Very impassioned statement there from Steven Crowder. What's your response?
Oh, I get it, and I feel it, and I appreciate Steven Crowder expressing how he feels. I really do, and I don't know what my fight is. I don't have a fight with Steven Crowder. Steven, good to see you. There was a lot you said about me there in the intro. I don't remember because I'm getting older. I wish I'd written down some of it. I did my best for the past week because I knew Charlie as well, not to
You can tell he wants
say that this guy was a right wing. He came from a God-fearing gun Utah family. He was definitely right, like some on the left did. I didn't know who he was until we had the facts and the evidence. And it's clear, Pierce and Stephen, that this was
I had the facts and the evidence, and I told you he was on the left from the bullet engravings that we received from a leak, and you said we were wrong, and people on the left said we were wrong, and that matters because the shooter was still out there, and so was the Kirk family. I'm trying to save lives.
Stephen,
you gonna save lives, Joe?
Maybe some people did. I don't know when I ever said you were wrong anywhere. When
you
this
said
first time I've talked to you, or even
we don't know. We know he's from a white family in Utah, and you retweeted people, and you went out and said this guy is not a left-wing extremist. He is. Okay, go ahead. You did say that,
my friend. From the moment Charlie Kirk was assassinated, I said we don't know who did it, and once we found out who did it, we don't know why he did it. So let's all wait to figure out why he did it.
But we did
yesterday.
Know. Stephen. And I remember you saying that he sold his soul to Trump before the body was cold, and criticizing his wife.
Stephen, let me finish, brother, please. And then we find out in no uncertain terms, by the way, Pierce, which I think all of us could have guessed, this was a political assassination. This 22-year-old young man hated Charlie Kirk, and so he picked up that gun and he shot him. Clearly, and as you've said, Pierce, it's clear that of late he had become radicalized with leftist ideology. There, now we know it. This will go down in history as an act of left-wing political violence. Yes.
I mean, I would say, Stephen, that is an honest statement there from Joe. But
it's not.
Yeah, but is it honest on your side, Stephen? Be honest. Is it honest to say there is no problem with violence on the political right? Because there has been historically a lot of violence associated with the far right in America. That, again, is just a demonstrable fact. To pretend there's never been any is to be disingenuous,
demonstrable fact by what? No, it's not to be disingenuous. It's absolutely correct. And I understand because I've seen Joe and people of his ilk retweeting these out there. It either comes from Cato Institute or it comes from a recent Economist article. I can tell you how all of those numbers are wrong. Remember the man in Portland? Remember Aaron Danielson, who was shot dead point blank by an Antifa member? Michael Reinhold, who said, we got a Trump supporter, bang, bang, dead. That wasn't listed as political violence. Look at that chart. The year 2020, the summer of love, no political violence from the left. I could go through the methodology, and I have brilliant researchers who have. It is demonstrably untrue. No one is saying there is no violence on the right. What I am saying is that people on the right have to have armed security, flak jackets, an entire strategy when they go out, and those on the left don't. That is verifiably true. What is dishonest is to say we didn't know. You know what else wouldn't have been included in these crime stats? And anyone want to make this argument? You're talking to the wrong guy. The Covenant High School shooting. Audrey Hale. Cato said we included it because it was borderline, even though the police said they didn't think it was politically motivated. If not for the undercover journalism unit of a comedy show right here, no one would have known that motivation. We found it, we leaked it, we processed it, we verified it, and we were met with resistance and threats of lawsuits from the local police department, the mayor, and the FBI. They said it was a lie on the outset, just like they said the engravings on the bullet casings were a lie on the outset. The left lies. They label you fascist. They label you a totalitarian. And how do you deal with those people? Well, you don't do it at the ballot box. We all know that.
It's not just how the news is told, but what's left out, which concerns me. And when a friend in the business recommended I try ground news, I gave it a go. Quite honestly, I was impressed. It does something brilliant, which most news platforms are afraid to do. It's an app and a website that lines up coverage of the same story from across the spectrum, left.
Every position that the right holds has been presented as violence, including silence, by the way. I know there's a poster behind Joe Walsh right next to his No Kings poster. In other words, if you're pro-life, it's violence against women. If you're against men and women's sports, it's violence against trans. It's
If you can't read what I'm looking up on the side of this video, I'm trying to find what Joe Walsh said about everything, and basically, from what I'm seeing, he is an ex-Republican congressman turned Democrat, and which is weird because I guess if you're in that political sphere, you go Democrat, but I don't think I've ever really seen many actual conservatives turn to the left. And basically, he was going after Charlie Kirk just like everyone else is right now, saying racist, da 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 da. He's the reason for this, yada yada yada. That's all I've found so far.
genocide. It's erasing them. If you're against Juneteenth as a holiday, it's violence. You're pro-First Amendment, violence because you're inciting violence. You're pro-Second Amendment, violence because you believe people should be able to commit gun violence. And then if we remain silent, that's also violence. And so people deal with the right with violence. Here's my challenge. Find me one example of a Charlie Kirk on the left, not an elected official. I'll allow any speaker, any comedian this century, one example of somebody who was murdered, assassinated, hemorrhaged out in front of his family in cold blood and gleefully celebrated thereafter. And the polls show that a majority, according to YouGov recently, of Democrats think it's somewhat too acceptable. 38%, 77% of Republicans said not acceptable at all.
Okay, let Joe
What I'm
respond.
saying is that Charlie Kirk was hunted. He was hunted. We are being hunted, and I don't want to see any more dead friends. Violence, absolutely. Lawful, ruthless, defensive violence.
Okay, Joe.
Pierce, I'll just be brief again. The data is pretty clear, and historically it's been pretty clear that there's political violence on the right and the left in this country for years. And I could argue, and I would argue, but I won't here, that there's historically been more political violence coming from the right. But suffice to say, I think you and I, Pierce, would agree, there's a history of, hey, Stephen, let me finish, man, please.
Please argue it. You can't just make a vague claim and not substantiate it.
Pierce, you and I would agree, for the sake of this conversation, that political violence is in fact a both sides problem. Stephen, you would acknowledge, I think, that there is political violence on, and there has been political violence on the right as well. So why don't we all just condemn it all? That's what we all should do.
Yeah,
Steve?
no, I don't. I don't agree with the premise, and I'm having to agree with a nebulous premise because you.
So, quick synopsis of that. Basically, Joe Walsh is saying, yes, it happens on the right side. And technically, yes, it does. Julius Caesar did die more than 10 years ago. But if it's a tiny amount versus a huge amount, they don't really equate. So, yeah. And then he's saying that it comes more from the right. We all have eyes, we all have ears. I don't see it. I don't.
Presented no facts. The very source.
If I'm wrong, show me. I have no problem with being wrong.
That you cite. And by the way, I'll make all of mine publicly available. Hold on, I'm finishing now. Let's do it like grown-ups. You can cite your sources online. George Floyd riots, not included. Darrell Brooks, Waukesha, not included. Antifa, not included. Man shot dead for voting Trump, not included. Those numbers are not to be trusted, and neither is someone parroting it. I'll answer your question if you answer one of mine after. Go ahead, please.
Like I said, he's going to be kind of a dick for a while. I understand, but... And again, I don't fully see what he did, what Joe Walsh did to piss Steven Crowder off. He mentioned it. I'm not seeing it. But maybe if I look deeper or pull up other videos, I don't know.
Melissa Hortman, the Democratic state legislator in Minnesota, 3 months ago, gunned down by an anti-abortion Trump supporter. Yes or no?
Wrong. How do I know? Because Vance Bolter, the man who did it, wrote in his letter that it had nothing to do with Trump or being pro-life. He blamed Tim Walz. And here's what you also don't see. Did you see anyone at the Hortman's funerals or vigils spitting on them or pantomiming being shot in the neck? Did you see anyone celebrating the death of them gleefully?
Yes.
Did you see so many professors doing so, showing children a snuff? Really? Point me to one.
Yes.
Point me to one person spitting at their vigil. Let me guess, you're going to go to Mike Lee?
Utah Senator
How do I predict
Mike
everything
Lee
you say all the time?
Attack.
How?
Donald Trump.
He didn't mock the attack.
But
Yes,
I would,
he did.
okay,
Donald
let me jump in. Let me jump in.
spit at the
Stephen,
vigil.
let me jump
Anyone
in.
celebrate the
Stephen,
murder.
let me give you an example.
Pierce, I don't.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Hang on. I would give an example where the right behaved very badly, and that was over the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband. I saw the gleeful responses after that from the right, the memes, the mockery, and so on. I thought that was very distasteful. Would you agree, Steve?
I do.
If you want to argue an equivalency between a man getting
I'm not
hit with a
asking
hammer in his
equivalency.
underwear
I'm not saying
and a
equivalent.
man bleeding out in front of his child,
I'm not
go
saying.
ahead.
Not equal, but still reprehensible. Not equal, but I remember seeing the right go, ha ha ha, Nancy Pelosi's family, ha ha ha. No, none of that. No.
They're equivocal. I'm just saying it's an example where I felt people on the right showed a complete lack of humanity towards the man who'd been attacked because he happened to be married to Nancy Pelosi, a political opponent. And so it's not like this never. It's not like this has never happened.
I don't agree. I don't think it's even remotely proportional. Let me ask a question here. This is why I'm giving this message, and this is why I hope people listen and protect their own. Joe Walsh, you're there. Since I answered your question, you're there, Utah, in the crowd. It's not a Mouser. It's not a 30-06. But it's a man winding up a milkshake for Charlie Kirk. We don't know if it's strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, acid, or concrete. Do you stop him? Do you hurt him?
And he's bringing this example up because this is what happened to him. People were throwing milkshakes at him, and they were full of other shit. So
that hesitation tells me that you are not amongst us. And cowards are dangerous to have in their ranks.
Stephen?
Okay, I kind of want to see what happens here because this is just back and forth. Don Lemon. Do I really want to hear this guy talk? I can't stand him. I don't even know if this is worth watching. I don't think it is. I think we'll move on. I can't stand Don Lemon. He's just trying to stay relevant as much as he can. God, he's just terrible. So this is something that I'm seeing a lot of the conservatives go absolutely insane over, which I understand. But I don't know if he's going to talk about it. This rock here, before you go too up in arms, this rock gets painted on like daily. So yeah, it's an act of disrespect, but it's not like this rock was put here just for Charlie Kirk. Somebody came up and did it, and everyone, obviously it was going to get changed eventually, but the rules of the rock are anyone can paint whatever they want on there. So it's not like a permanent memorial, which would be different. But is it a dick move? Yes.
I was filled with rage watching the video of leftists desecrate a memorial to Charlie Kirk. And we have the images here right now. And that rage that welled up inside me, it's dangerous. Now, for me, I express my...
And if you don't know, Tim Pool is absolutely an old school Democrat. Me and him agree on very little things other than like cultural, like we agree on morals and things like that. But when it comes to economics and like programs and everything like that, I'm not sure how many things me and him would even agree on. However, I really enjoy his network. He works very hard.
Myself through whinging on the internet to you. And so the biggest danger, I suppose, to these individuals is that I will work harder than I already do to challenge their ideas, to call upon law enforcement actions to be taken against them. But I do have fears because that anger that I feel, while I very much have self-control and largely just try to mind my own business as a libertarian-leaning individual, I try to avoid these kinds of direct conflicts. I showed up to protests where Antifa was, and countered them.
Yeah.
And that was a problem for the left. What do you think happens when conservative individuals show up to guard these murals and Antifa and leftists show up? We are going to see an increase in street violence that we do not want.
So, again, this is a dick move going over this, with especially with the BLM thing. Cool dick move, but it's not. It's not. It's expected, to be honest. I don't really. It's upsetting, but it's definitely not worth fighting over. You know what I mean? It's just people being dicks and showing their true colors, yada yada yada. But it's not like the people that were kicking over the vigil the other day, or the person that was just running through destroying everything. It's not the same. It is, but it isn't. So yeah, I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. Now this guy, Decoy Voice, he does really good. I really enjoy his videos. He does a really good job.
Thing Jimmy Kimmel ever did was get fired for being unfunny, but somehow the left is more panicked about free speech cost.
And this video is based on the whole Jimmy Kimmel firing, which my view on that is I have absolutely no problem with it. That is a company that decided to fire somebody, and if I'm seeing a lot of my friends and whatnot on the other side say, well, you know, it goes against free speech, da 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 da. Okay, well, where were you when everyone else on the right was getting fired? Oh yeah, you were celebrating. This is from my understanding, nobody was really advocating for Jimmy Kimmel getting fired. Unlike, you know, like Tucker Carlson from Fox News, they were always saying this guy needs to stop, da 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 da. And once the talking heads start saying their rhetoric, that's when everyone that I know starts saying the same things. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they have an opinion on it once somebody else has already had an opinion on it. And this one, I didn't see conservatives. Maybe there were, but I didn't see any saying Jimmy Kimmel should get fired. Obviously, some did. There's so many people, but it's not like the collective was going after him, and it was ABC that fired him. You can say, "Oh, Trump pressured him." Da 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 da. I don't think so. I highly doubt it. Especially knowing that ABC was actually going to let him continue on, and then other things happened. So I think it was just an excuse to get rid of him because talk show hosts are starting to fail.
Costing a guy his TV show than free speech costing a guy his life, as this is Kimmel's controversial segment in question.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Where the next...
If you're still saying that the shooter was like a groiper, is what they're calling it, someone that follows Nick Fuentes, or is a right winger or a conservative, just stop. Just stop. You lose all credibility after that, and either you're saying that everything that we've been told is a complete lie. So okay, so everything up until the point that he's a leftist is a lie. Or everything until that point is truth, and then the fact that he's a leftist is a lie, or you're allergic to information, right? There are so many other things going on that if you are still saying that he's a right winger and that's your firm stance and that's your entire opinion on this, again, I don't want to talk about a lot of those things on here, not until the dust settles. But there's so many other avenues for you to go after that I'm going to agree with you on. But it's not that he's a conservative or anything like that. There's other things out there. Like just watch Candace Owens. I'm not going to show that one on here. Just watch Candace Owens and then you're going to say, oh, maybe, yeah, okay, no, there's worse things than being a conservative. Yeah, okay.
Day, his show's doors were closed as they sent away him and his team. As Nextdoor quickly announced, they object to Jimmy's offensive comments and will no longer air his show for the foreseeable future, which prompted Sinclair to do the same on their ABC stations, making a statement that on Friday, they will air a special remembrance of Charlie Kirk instead, calling upon Kimmel to issue a public apology and a personal donation to the Kirk family and Turning Point USA. But judging by the Hollywood Reporter, Jimmy wasn't going to apologize, he was just going to double down.
Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
And Trump was right. Jimmy Kimmel, alongside all the left-wing late-night hosts, have been completely slipping out of relevance.
So if you didn't know, the old school talk shows and news networks, they're starting to lose ratings for a multitude of reasons. They are losing all their money, and it seems like most of them, they have to be subsidized in order to stay alive, which I don't know why we're subsidizing them. I don't understand the thought process of that when it should be free market. But with the generation that relied on like Fox News and CNN and all them, they're starting to get older, and obviously once you get older, you start passing. Their viewing base is growing so much smaller, and now you have like YouTube commentators like Decoy Voice and Tim Pool and the Young Turks and Steven Crowder. They're starting to take over, and it's pretty insane because just a smaller version of them, like, let's see, this guy has 38,000 likes. How many views is on here? He's got 1 million subscribers. So in one day, this has reached 400,000 people. 400,000 people, and just by making this quick video. So that means that this guy has probably reached more people than those news outlets do. It's just that they've been the mainstream for so long and they're subsidized, so it seems like they're more authoritative, but these guys are doing so much more. There are pros and cons to this, obviously, which is why I'm always advocating that people should watch everything that they can, but obviously not everyone's like me. So,
and just like any workplace that has an employee that's slowly declined over time, it's hard to terminate their contract over mediocrity. But given the opportunity, like public backlash over brazenly false information regarding a national tragedy, the bosses will jump on firing you while they can still pass off the blame on everybody else. But leave it to the corporate media to make this business decision about their Trump derangement syndrome, with MSNBC coming out in full force.
Donald Trump's ongoing campaign to crack down on free speech, dominate the media, and essentially render the First Amendment meaningless.
Okay. I don't know if he's going to talk about it. I don't agree with the reasoning behind what he's saying. However, after hearing what Pam Bondi said about bringing hate speech laws to the U.S., which is, I cannot believe that anyone in the current administration would say anything like that at all ever. I think she needs to retract that statement immediately and figure things out. So if it wasn't for that, he would be wrong. However, he's saying this, and it's technically true because of what happened with the AG. So you can go after them for saying this all you want. I don't agree with them. I think the reason they're saying it is stupid. However, it's still technically true right now. So, yeah.
Media and essentially render the First Amendment meaningless.
We are quickly becoming a censorship state.
There will be a kind of deployment of law enforcement, of the state apparatus.
And again, the reason that they're saying it is wrong, because they're saying that because Jimmy Kimmel got fired, this is what's happening. It's what's happening, but that's not why. So they're technically not wrong. which is insane.
Congressman on CNN echoing the same nonsense.
Jimmy Kimmel is a late-night host. He's a comedian. We have the First Amendment in this country, and it's pretty clear that this is a direct attack on free speech. And
First Amendment protects you from the government. Companies don't have to keep you hired if they don't agree with what you said. It's pretty simple. So anyone saying that this is a First Amendment attack doesn't understand how things work. So if they're saying that, their opinion doesn't matter.
America is a less free place if late-night comedians cannot do and say what they want.
They're literally trying to say we're less free if private companies aren't forced to promote their propaganda at a financial loss. As let's be clear, Kimmel's recent comments are mild compared to the deranged things he said before. The corporations didn't suddenly grow a spine, it's just that Kimmel isn't entertaining anymore. As I guarantee, if he was putting out Gutfeld numbers, they'd let him get away with anything because nobody fires an earner. And all these media tears just remind us how they simply have zero actual virtues. Where Western Lensman found the perfect example on MSDNC.
And this is just the latest chapter in Donald Trump's ongoing campaign to crack down on free speech, dominate the media, and essentially render the First Amendment meaningless. Tucker Carlson, just fired from his third network, he believed he could say anything, no matter how vile, no matter how disgusting, no matter how offensive, no matter how dehumanizing or belittling. And if you act like a sociopath over and over and over and over, you will become unpopular on the national stage. That's just like a basic principle. Over time.
Why is it so hard to keep that same energy? I don't understand. When it happens to your own people, you're crying. Shut up.
Probably not going to work out well for you in the long run.
It's almost like you could cut the Chiron and stock images off the clips, swap the audios, and he easily could be talking about Kimmel, where these left-wing news personalities have become the equivalency of ESPN's Stephen A. Smith. As he's not paid to be objective about sports reporting, he's paid because if you told him to fill 20 minutes of TV time about why Tom Brady is overrated, he could easily follow it up with 20 minutes of TV time of why Tom Brady is the greatest. That's fine with sports gossip, but just proves that left-leaning...
Okay, I think that's enough of that. But, yeah, that kind of sums up my viewpoint. More misunderstanding... Yeah, I think
you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust.
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse. Were these blacks trying to go rob her? Happening all the time in urban America. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. Black crime is a major issue.
You see that? Racist. I find that when a father of young children is murdered, it's an excellent time for me to go on a rampage letting everyone know he's a racist.
I don't think Charlie Kirk was a racist.
Well, apparently you haven't seen everything I've been posting. Black women do not have the processing power to be taken seriously. Charlie Kirk said that. It doesn't get any more racist than that. Well, people are saying he said that, which means he said it.
Let me see where he said that.
Yeah. Check this out.
I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot.
Pretty disgusting that he would say that about all black women, right?
He was saying that about 4 specific black women that were awarded opportunities based on their skin color rather than the merits of their achievements.
No. He thinks all black women don't have brain processing power.
You just showed a short out of context clip. Have you seen the full clip?
No.
I have it right here. Take a look.
Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot.
Yep. That's too many words to be taken seriously.
He was making an argument that it's not good to discriminate one way or the other based on the color of one's skin, which happens to be the opposite of being racist.
No. In that one, he's saying Joy Reid, Michelle Obama, Sheila Jackson, and Kabaji Jackson are only in their positions of power because of affirmative action. And it's racist that he would say that.
No, he's saying that those women literally said that.
No. Those women would never say that.
Actually, if you watch it in even more full context, you'd see that Charlie Kirk then plays the clips of them saying it. You should watch. Here, take a look.
Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, and particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color.
Well, let me just be clear. I got into Harvard only because of affirmative action.
I think you get a clearer understanding of Kirk's thinking with the shorter out-of-context clips that I post on my Instagram. He just thinks those women are stupid because they're black.
No, he thinks those specific women are stupid based on the ideas that they express.
Give me a break. There is nothing stupid about Kabaji Jackson.
Well, watch this and you tell me.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
You think she's stupid because she's black.
No.
She is a judge?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist. Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was Supreme Court nominee, and I think she's actually on the Supreme Court.
Same answer.
What is a woman? I don't even know how to answer that.
You're saying these white women are stupid because you think they're black.
No, I'm saying Charlie Kirk was a smart guy who had the courage to take on any topic. So you have to listen to the full context of nuances in his conversations.
Nuance has no place in politics. Have you seen this one? It's a game, set, match on him being a racist.
I'm sorry. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Tell me that's not racist.
Here's the full context clip.
And that's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits, or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off. And I feel better now thinking about that.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
I mean, all I heard him saying is he hates black pilots.
He said that in a broader context of discussing destructive DEI policies that hire people like pilots because of their skin color rather than their abilities and qualifications as a pilot.
We shouldn't care if our pilots know how to fly planes. Like, don't be an ableist, right?
Hey, is this your computer?
Yeah.
I can see on your editing software you've had the full clips all this time, but you cut out the context and published just short, inflammatory sounding things to make Charlie Kirk look bad.
Well, not on purpose.
That's a pretty despicable and disrespectful way of defaming a good man who was assassinated.
I'm going to tell you something right now. There is always more truth when things are out of context.
That can defame people on a side who are already more prone to committing violence.
I'll tell you who's violent, and it's your side. A recent study showed Republicans have committed 858 violent acts. That is a lot.
I saw that study too, and Democrats committed 21,765 violent acts. You gotta stop taking things out of context. You're being deliberately deceptive.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Jimmy Kimmel's on. I gotta go. Oh,
So Awaken with JP does a lot of really funny videos. I think I'm going to find a video because I'm sure my dad's gonna watch this, and I think he would really like this video. What is it? Waking up in Trump's era. Yeah, this is from 6 years ago. But this is from my dad. I think he'll love this.
Doctor, he's waking up.
Mike, can you hear me? Can you speak?
Who are you?
It's a miracle.
Where am I?
Try to relax, Mike. You've been in an accident. Can you remember what year it is?
2009?
Do you know who the president is?
Barack Obama. Where are my kids? My kids were in the car with me.
He doesn't know.
What don't I know? Where are my children?
Mike, calm down. You're still very weak from the coma.
Coma?
We have to tell him.
Are you sure, Doctor?
He has to know.
What are you doing? What is that?
Mike, this is going to be hard. You've been in a coma for nearly a decade. And now that you're awake, you're going to have to confront some harsh realities.
Oh, no.
The first one is this.
Wait, what am I looking at?
Donald Trump is president.
It's insane, isn't it? The guy from Celebrity Apprentice. He's our president now.
Yeah, that's weird, but what about my children? Johnny? Melanie?
This isn't a joke, Mike. This is a real headline.
Why are you showing me this?
Can your 2009 mind even handle this?
Stop it!
10 years ago, could you have imagined America would come to this?
He served fast food in the White House, Mike.
Fast food!
I don't give a shit. The president could be Kanye West for all I care.
It's actually funny you should mention Kanye West because...
Get that away from me.
Kanye said liberals were bullies, Mike. Bullies!
Where are my children?
Oh my God! Your kids are dead, okay? Jeez.
Oh no.
Yeah, your son died instantly, your daughter clung to life support for like a month before we removed the feeding tube. Yada, yada, yada. Happens all the time. But Trump being president? This is not normal.
Don't normalize this, Mike.
Oh, Mike, don't cry. There's good news.
What good news?
Now that your kids are dead, they won't have to live in a world with this.
Or this.
And there's more good news. We have Instagram now.
IG.
Oh, and gay marriage is legal now. That's great news for America.
And for him.
Oh, yeah. Now that his wife is dead and he's single, he can marry a man if he wants to.
Wait, my wife is dead? She wasn't even in the car with us.
Oh, when she found out what happened to you and the kids, she got addicted to painkillers and alcohol, and her liver gave out. Yada, yada, yada. Happens all the time. But the Obamas are now producing for Netflix. Isn't that exciting? Oh, I thought that would have cheered him up.
I lost everything.
Oh, not everything, Mike. There's still this.
Ugh. What the f*** is the Mueller report?
Actually, it's the Mueller report, and it's only the most important document of our time. At least I think it is. I never read it.
You know what? You should read it and tell us what it says.
I mean, I know what it says, you know?
Totally.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Oh my God. He's having suicidal thoughts.
We're gonna have to break out the big guns. Mike?
It's the most diverse house freshman class in history!
Wow. That's your reaction to women of color in Congress?
Doctor, there's something wrong with him. He's not reacting to anything the right way. I think he's got brain damage.
Yeah. No wailing outrage over Trump, total indifference to the Mueller report, and now no vocal celebration of diversity in Congress? I think you're right, nurse. There's only one thing left to do. Sorry, Mike. You're canceled.
I'm not on life support anymore. You fucking idiot.
Whatevs. Hashtag boy bye. Nurse pillow.
What?
Hey guys, thanks.
It's especially like from 6 years ago, seeing the context and how crazy it's gotten since then. It's insane. This is Chenku Gear on Tucker Carlson. I recommend watching this. I don't think we're going to do that tonight. And this is actually a really, really good talk. Maybe we'll watch it tomorrow. I don't know. But his nephew, Hassan Piker, seems to be getting subpoenaed by Congress, and there's a lot going on with that. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, the major platforms like Twitch and everyone are getting subpoenaed like crazy. Who knows what's going to happen? And he came on here, and I think he's freaking out. So I think that's why he's coming on here being as calm as he is. And Trump has designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. I don't know what took so long. I don't know what took so long. If we want to watch the full video on this tomorrow, I think we can do that. But yeah. All right. I'll leave this up for tomorrow. I think that's gonna be it for tonight. Well.